What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the episode of the weekly wrap. Hope you guys are excited. We are back in 2022 with the official first episode. Now we have 4 pieces of news to go over, as of course always some game sales and some games, well, one singular game that released this past week, because not a lot of games have been dropping. Again, 2022 just started. Now I do apologize ahead of time. I'm coughing a little bit, so I might have to take some periodic breaks as we talk. But if you guys are excited, we got a mixture of news here from some games that are coming on like Game Pass to E3 talk. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Before we begin with the first story, as always, let's talk about the game sales this past week. Now, I feel like I'm reading the ones that I brought down, and I'm just like, one of which I don't even recommend too much into that game. The other, which I think I mentioned like 5 times, but just in case, it is what it is. First one is Kena, Bridge of Spirits. Again, that's on PS4 and PS5. It's right now on sale on PSN for $27.99. Keep in mind, we do US-based pricing. The next one is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic digital for Switch is $11.24 on the eShop. That just got dropped, I believe, in like November or December, so that's not that bad. It's also a really old game, but get excited because, you know, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is getting a remake over for PlayStation. So I guess if you want to kind of get yourself ahead of the game, right, know a little bit of what it has to offer, go ahead and check that out. And the last one, I don't know. This one, it's $10. This is, I guess, if you just want to try it and waiting for like the cheapest you could ever possibly get, this is probably it. Watch Dogs Legion for PS4 and PS5 is $9.99, and this is on Amazon with Prime eligible if you have it. So definitely go ahead and check those out. I think Watch Dogs Legion for that price maybe is worth getting a look into, but like that price and that's it. Okay, now we can go ahead and jump into the very first story, and that is E3 2022. Is it going digital again? This is from The Verge from Kame Gartenberg. So basically, there's a couple quotes in here. So let's go with the first one. Due to the ongoing health risk surrounding COVID-19 and its potential impact on the safety of exhibitors and attendees, E3 will not be held in person in 2022. The ESA commented in a statement to VentureBeat. We are nonetheless excited about the future of E3 and look forward to announcing more details soon. So essentially, they're not saying it's going to happen digitally, but all they're saying is that it's not going to be happening in person. So it's like, again, it's one of those where like it's basically saying that like, hey, it's going to be going digital this year. But again, it's not 100%, but that's a statement that basically says we're going digital. The ESA had originally planned to bring back E3 as an in-person conference in 2022, which was announced back in April of 2021 last year. But of course, as you guys know, the Omicron variant is happening, and you know, COVID's still here, and pray to God that it goes away at some point. But you know, of course, since it's still happening, cases are still spiking up. They went back into, again, not having an in-person one, which again, rumored basically to have a digital event. The ESA appears to have decided that it's not worth the risk of hosting a conference packed with thousands of journalists, game developers, and fans this summer, which makes sense. I'm gonna jump into story number 2, because story number 2 I kind of feel like is like in it's going kind of like after a little bit of story number 1, but we'll get more into that. Jumping into story number 2, that is Summer Game Fest 2022 is returning. This is from Jeff Keighley over on Twitter. Jeff Keighley announced that Summer Game Fest is returning this summer. The previous partners, if you didn't know, were Sega, WB, PlayStation, Xbox, Capcom, 2K, and a bunch of other publishers that dropped their games on there. It's basically another event in the summer that's, I feel like, starting to like get bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, shout out to Jeff Keighley. He's just killing it. If you don't know, Jeff Keighley does the Game Awards, and so recently he's been doing Summer Game Fest, and I think it's been picking up a lot of attraction. Speaking of which, there was even some publishers last year that didn't even go to E3 or have anything to really show at E3, but they showed it off at Summer Game Fest. One of those, I think, was PlayStation. They showed off, I think it was more Horizon Forbidden West. And so it's funny. The reason why I kind of want to put these together is because, you know, Summer Game Fest, it's in the summertime. It's like last year, it was right next to E3. And so it's getting to a point now where it's like E3 has competition. And I shouldn't even say that, really, to be honest, because E3 it's not even been the same. I think the biggest it's ever been, right, was back when it was doing in-person events. But now that it's gone digital, I think a lot of other companies, right, and a lot of other publishers have been doing their own thing. PlayStation has been known for doing their own PlayStation showcases. And I think they give some games, right, to like Summer Game Fest, for example, like Horizon Forbidden West, like a new trailer. But the rest of like any new announcements, I think they save for their own events. Nintendo has always been doing this for some time now, right? With Nintendo Directs. You know, Ubisoft has been doing the Ubi Forward. What else? I think I have another one here. Oh, Square Enix started doing their Square Enix Presents. it's like I said, it's getting to the point now where regardless of E3 or Summer Game Fest, a lot of companies now are just doing their own thing because, they can get the amount of views on their own kind of content, right? Don't necessarily need a big event like E3 to kind of show it off. I think it's to the point where everybody's online. Everybody knows, okay, I could just look for this event, right? Look for this event. And so it has gotten to that point where it's kind of like, I don't know. I think the excitement of what used to be E3 back in the day, because it was the go-to main event, it's totally changing. Summer Game Fest is now becoming a bigger thing too. And I think it gets to the point now where it's going to become, who gets what announcements. Who's going to go to Summer Game Fest but not go to E3? Who goes to E3 but then doesn't go to Summer Game Fest? So it's an interesting thing as, we get like another big summer event coming. And who's to say that like maybe in the future, they both together don't go ahead and come together, and do a thing together. But yeah, it gets all over the place because, there's just so much going on in the summertime now. But keep in mind, E3 for the most part is probably going to be another digital event. Take a swig of water here, but we're going to go into story number 3, and that is PlayStation unveils the next generation of PlayStation VR. Now, this is from Hideki Nishino over at the PlayStation blog, who gave us a bunch of information. Bear with me, a lot of information. I'm going to try to read through it as quick as I can, that way we don't waste too much time on it. But essentially, PlayStation officially dubbed the next generation of the PSVR as simply PSVR2, or some say PlayStation VR2. PlayStation VR2 promises to take VR gaming to a whole new level, enabling a greater sense of presence and allowing players to escape into game worlds like never before. With the headset on and the controllers in hand, players will feel a heightened range of sensations unlike any other. And I think that's a really cool thing to highlight, is sensations. Now, I'm not too familiar with VR, so if you guys are familiar with VR, let me know down below. But I don't think, as we read into this and I go over some of the stuff here, some of the tech that seems like it's going to be in this PSVR2, I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere else. So we're going to go and get into this. Basically, PlayStation blog dropped like a bit of a spec sheet. Excuse me. Here we go. Into the first bullet point here, visual fidelity. Now, for high fidelity visual experience, the PSVR2 offers 4K HDR. It's going to also offer 110 degree field of view, foveated rendering, OLED display, and players can expect display resolutions of 2000 to 2040 per eye, smooth frame rates of 90 up to 120 hertz. Now, in quick comparison to IGN, they dropped a little comparison chart of some of the VR equipment that's currently out up against the PSVR2. Now, in quick comparison to just like Oculus Quest 2, Oculus Quest 2 is an LCD display. It's 1832 by 1920. It's also up to 120 hertz screen refresh rate. Now, the PSVR2 is still going to require a single cord setup that goes directly to PS5, whereas the Quest 2, that is completely optional. So just keep in mind there are some differences, right? Aside from any similarities. Now we can go into the next bullet point here, and that is the headset-based controller tracking. With inside-out tracking, PlayStation VR2 tracks you and your controller through integrated cameras embedded in the VR headset. Your movements in the direction you look at are reflected in-game without the need for an external camera. Whereas the very first PSVR, if you guys remember the PlayStation Eye, right, that was needed. So it's good to see that they're kind of catching up with other equipment out there that doesn't need a camera, can kind of do it on its own. So thank God for that, because I think that was like one of the biggest setbacks. Because it was my uncle who had one, and trying to get the space to get it to work and all that stuff, So it's cool to see that they're gonna have that. Now, the next one. This is like the big one. This is the big point. So if you're going to listen to me, this is where you listen, because this is where it's really interesting to see the technology that's going to be inside this new PSVR 2. So new sensory features. PSVR 2 Sense technology combines eye tracking, headset feedback, 3D audio, and innovative PSVR 2 Sense controllers to create an incredibly deep feeling of immersion. Headset feedback is a new sensory feature that amplifies the sensations of an in-game action from the player. It's created by a single built-in motor with vibrations that add an intelligent tactile element, bringing players closer to the gameplay experience. For example, gamers can feel a character's elevated pulse during tense moments, the rush of objects passing close to the character's head, or the thrust of a vehicle as the character speeds forward. Additionally, PS5's Tempest 3D audio tech makes sounds in the player's surroundings come alive, adding to this new level of immersion. That sounds wild. And I don't know about you guys, but if I start thinking of games for like an elevated heartbeat, I'm thinking like the next Resident Evil game. If they want to go ahead and drop like another, another VR version of Resident Evil. I know they just had the Resident Evil 4, I think VR one come out. But if they make one that's specifically made for this new equipment, especially for the new Sense technology, that's gonna be so insane. Imagine hearing laughter, like you feel like you're actually hearing laughter from like an enemy or something. Like I'm gonna use Resident Evil as an example, right? The elevated heartbeat. So if you're hiding, again, if they go more into like the horror approach, but if you go into like hiding or something, you just feel that, you can feel it in your head. There's so much crazy talk. All this is like so crazy that like it's making me really excited because again, I can't recall. Let me know down below in the comment section, but I don't recall any other VR equipment that has this level of like, sensory technology embedded into the actual headset. So you let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody else is doing something like this. So this is PlayStation, coming at the gate with some new VR equipment that is utilizing a bunch of new stuff. And again, let me know. I could be totally wrong. Maybe Valve Index does this and I have no clue. But this just sounds really, really cool for potential games in the future. Now there's another piece here. There's still another stuff that they wanted to kind of highlight here. The next one is eye tracking. With eye tracking, PSVR2 detects the motion of your eyes. So a simple look in a specific direction can create an additional input for the game character, which is really cool. This allows players to interact more intuitively in new and lifelike ways, allowing for a heightened emotional response and enhanced expression that also provides a new level of realism in gaming. Now what's cool is, on top of this announcement of unveiling the new PSVR 2, they also announced Horizon Call of the Mountain that is from Guerrilla and Firesprite. Again, Firesprite was the new company that they just brought in. They just acquired last year. Firesprite was a VR game company, which now makes sense, right? Why they kind of brought them in for. I mean, obviously, they were going to be doing a VR game, but I don't think a lot of people expected it to be like a Horizon game. At least I didn't. Maybe some cool, brand new original game or something, but another Horizon game is really cool. Again, this is an original game that is being built specifically for the PSVR 2 and will open the doors for players to go deeper into the world of Horizon. Now, if you guys check out the trailer, we might have some bits flowing here and there. If not, look it up. But the trailer that they showed was essentially, you saw one of the big mechanical enemies from the Horizon series, right? A big open world. And some people said it looked like you were kind of like in a boat or something, and it looked like you were potentially on rails, which is the one thing where I don't want it to be, right? More of like a big just experience. I really want them to keep their promise of making these new VR games actual games more than they are experiences. And so that is one of the promises that they made. They're promising AAA level VR games. And so with the new Horizon being one of the first ones, that sounds actually really cool. I can't imagine future games. I'm just thinking about stuff like Ratchet and Clank. I can't wait to see a Ratchet and Clank game take advantage of this. Excuse me. There's so many things to look forward to for big AAA games that they take advantage of the new PSVR. I will say though, I think one of the big ones that I want to continue, or one of the big things that I want to continue that like it doesn't definitely happen with this, is I don't want them to ever take a mainline game. For example, God of War. I don't want there to ever be a VR exclusive game that actually carries forward the story more. That to me will be a point where I don't want that to happen. But from the looks of what they're doing with Horizon, they're just trying to offer you a kind of side story or a side thing that has nothing to do with the main story of what you're playing with the actual console, PS5 or PS4. So as long as they continue something like that, I don't have an issue with it, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So in the comment section down below, let me know. As long as they continue with, what they're doing here, does this entice you? Does this make you want to get it if you have a PS5 or you're looking to get a PS5? Will you definitely be, thinking about getting a PSVR 2? You let me know down below in that comment section. But yeah, it's pretty exciting, especially in comparison to PSVR 1. They're finally, catching up with the competition. And again, in some ways, looks like, they got some of the newest tech that I've seen potentially going out there for VRs. All right, jumping into basically store number 4, which kind of goes with store number 5, and that is Game Pass games for January are in. And then we also have PlayStation Plus games that are also in. Now, for the Game Pass games that are in, this is coming from the actual Xbox Wire, and we're gonna get Garuga that's coming out, Ouija was coming out, The Pedestrian, Ember, Outer Wilds, and now they have 2 more games coming out, which is Spunky 2 and the Anacrusis, again, all for Game Pass. But those 2 games, Spunky 2 and Anacrusis, are not coming until January 13th. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking, they're not going to be there until January 13th. But the big one, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the complete thing. And I just think that is really cool. That's a really awesome, probably, well, to be fair, Mass Effect is probably, I think, one of the biggest gaming series of all time. So if you never played it and you have Xbox and you got Game Pass, or you got PC and you got Game Pass, now's your chance to hop on Mass Effect. 3 games, or I think it might be 3 or 4 games, but I think it has at least the mainline games, which is the most important part. But amazing series, amazing games. Again, if you didn't know, Amazon is potentially rumored to be doing an actual TV series on it, so that's how big it is. So I want you to definitely check that out if you haven't. That is a huge get for Game Pass. You know, it's funny at this point now. It's always curious to see what Game Pass is adding to their service. And that is such a big game. And they've been dropping, and not even dropping, but they've just been getting a lot of really good games being added to the service. So go ahead and check that out. That's a pretty big get for Game Pass. And a really good game if you haven't played it, to go ahead and look into that. Now for PlayStation Plus games for January, we got Dirt 5 for PS4 and PS5. And then Deep Rock Galactic, and that is PS4 and PS5. And the last one is Persona 5 Strikers. That is a big get too. I think that's another really great game. Anybody who's a fan of the Persona series, please. If you skipped out because you thought it was kind of different, because it is a bit of a different gameplay style than the actual Persona games, it is more action. Definitely go ahead and check this out. It is a Musu style game. I loved it. I think you guys will love it too. So if you held off because you weren't, really big into it, but you played Persona 5, now's your chance. If you have PlayStation Plus, go ahead and play Persona 5 Strikers. You're going to love it. It's such a good game. But that's pretty much it for my news stories. And then again, the single game that I mentioned in the beginning that dropped this past week, and that is actually Deep Rock Galactic. That did drop on PlayStation Plus. So it's a pretty cool day and date release. That is all. I'm about to cough. Maybe I'm getting sick. I hope not. I'm going to drink water, and I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. I'm about to cough. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.